What up, Facebook and Spartans? Pretty much anybody that climbs or does upper body stuff. I'm here in the lab today. This is Coach Josh, and I was just playing around, climbing around, monkeying around. My legs are sore. I ran a half marathon yesterday, so I was doing a little upper body work. And in doing so, I thought about the way I approach my shoulders for safe, healthy shoulders and what helps me climb well. So I figured I'd just give you guys a ton of value today and give you a bunch of exercises you can do pretty much anywhere. So follow me. I'm going to get right into it, just give you guys a bunch of exercises. And talk a little bit about shoulder health. So first things first, note that I'm going to go to the ground. We learn movement from the ground. I go to the ground a lot. The ground's a good place for you to learn stability for the shoulder. So if you can learn how to pack your shoulder, keep it in the socket, that kind of stuff, super valuable. So a few ideas for you right away. When you go into the ground, we're going to start off with cat-cows. I'm going to give you a couple animal movements to start by warming your shoulders up. So again, these can be done in the garage, if you have a mat, in a park, whatever. Take your hands and go big, wide hand spread on the ground, and you want to kind of grip the ground a little bit. From there, I'm going to make sure my hands are directly under my shoulders, and I'm going to stick my elbow pits forward. What that basically does is packs my shoulder and teach me certain shoulder stability mechanics, right? So another way I explain this to athletes is pretend you have an orange in your armpit, and you want to squeeze out orange juice. So this is my setup anytime I'm in quadruped, okay? From here, I'm going to go to cat-cow. So I'm going to tuck my chin down, I'm going to dome my upper back, go ahead and tuck your tailbone, all that stuff, and then I'm going to go ahead and reach my tailbone up and kind of arch my back. I like the thing about moving vertebrae. 5 vertebrae here. Each piece of my back is moving piece by piece. And this is just a good exercise for your T-spine, your neck, your shoulders, all that stuff. I'm going to do about maybe 3 or 4 of everything today just to show you guys the movement. Normally I'd probably do, I don't know, 10, 20 cat-cows or something like that for a warm-up. So again, just getting that movement and that familiarity with your shoulder blades. Number 2, we'll talk about, so cat-cow, we'll talk about down dog. So for down dog, same idea, big hand spread, elbow pits forward. I'm going to kind of push my heels up in there. Hi, Presley. Hi, beautiful. So I'm going to drive my heels in the ground, get a lot of length. I can do a couple things here. I could just go ahead and lower myself down, squeeze my butt, get a little bit of a low back extension. All that's fine, but really, this is a chance for me to explore some overhead positions. And for a lot of us that sit at desks and stuff like that, we probably just don't get our hands overhead very often, right? So being able to get into an overhead position, especially weighted, is a good way to warm your shoulders up a little bit to get started. So down dogs are great. So we did cat-cows, we did down dogs. Now we're talking about the bear crawl. So again, I'm on the ground right now, but I'm talking about ways to get your shoulders strong so you can climb. Crawling is kind of one of the first forms of climbing. So in our crawl, I'm gonna go from my quadruped, just lift up a little bit, opposite arm, opposite leg. And as I crawl, I'm learning how to bear weight on my shoulders individually. And if you note, my shoulder's packed in the back of the socket there. I'm not up here in my ears, I'm not shrugging all funny. It's very natural for me to find good shoulder stability in my bear crawl. In the back crawls, we get a little bit more work for the shoulders. There's core and shoulder integration, so we're working a little bit of the ab sling that crosses the body into the shoulders, all that stuff, right? So good stuff here. The last one we would do is gonna be our crab crawl. In our crab crawl, you have options, and I like to talk about this, right? Explore this stuff, feel what feels good for your shoulders. But ideally, if you cannot cat-cow, you cannot down dog, you cannot bear crawl or crab crawl. If these things give you pain, maybe we have a little bit longer to go before we start climbing all that stuff. We should be able to do most of these movements pretty pain-free for the most part. So if it hurts, that's my disclaimer today. Don't do anything that hurts you, but that's how I would start, is on the ground. From the ground, we'll go to the bars. For the bars, I'm going to start by talking about passive hang. So passive hang, in your grip choice is an interesting topic, right? So for grip choice, I've been climbing today, so you might even see my hands are kind of worn. They're really red right now. You can see my bones through my hands. You can see my bone detailing. I've been climbing really hard today. Right now, the most sensitive part of my hand seems to be my calluses and also this part of my hand here. So when I go up on the bar, I have a lot of options here. I could use very light parts of my hand, and just using my fingers, I can hang from my fingers, right? I can roll up over onto my calluses and kind of leverage my calluses for a little bit of a hang. And that's another way I can hang. Right now, that doesn't feel great. And then what I also can do is I can push my calluses into the bar and then wrap my hand around. And that seems to be a good nugget for me. It's somewhere in between the two of those. And that's what I like to play with. And again, if it starts to hurt, I can change my grip. I can go to less fingers with more thumb. Just a couple options there. So the passive hang, I should theoretically be able to hang here. We were built to have like shoulders almost like monkeys do. And if you noted, this isn't an active hang. It's not where I've got my lats packed and my shoulder packed. It's actually where I'm kind of just hanging. This isn't an exercise I use for strength building. It's more of a mobility exercise. Okay, so ideally you want to see if you can hang. If you cannot hang with your arms overhead, this is something that I would maybe work a little bit more on, but you can do it in a place where you're not bearing all the weight right away. You can just start to get your arms used to hanging. There's a book out by, I think the doctor's name's John Kirsch, and it's called like Shoulder Pain, the Solutions and Prevention. And it talks about when they started to do MRIs of people in their hands over head positions, it freed up pretty much all the things that created the impingements for people that have like issues moving their shoulders. But they did talk about there is a little bit of pain in that. So consult with your doctor, talk to your doctor, check out the book I'm recommending. But if this feels good for you, this is a good way to get used to hanging. Sometimes I'll check my neck out and just kind of make sure I'm not like tensing up through my traps. You want to have a long neck and you want your shoulders just to get some space in there and just to kind of elongate some of those structures that are always, you know, in these bad positions. Everything good so far? Any questions? Anything coming through? We good? Okay. Once you start a passive hang, now we get into the strength stuff. So all this stuff was preventative and prehab for the shoulder. And how am I doing here? I'm taking about 5 minutes so far.
It's not giving me a time, but
it's okay. I'll keep it.
Let's assume so.
Okay, so for the passive hang, the passive hang is more of a kind of a prerequisite. Like, can you get into these positions without pain? Now we're gonna start talking about like the actual strength exercises, things we can do on the bar, things we can do for strength that are gonna be good exercises for you. But if you don't skip to all this stuff because it's more glorious, like that stuff's the important stuff. That's how you keep your shoulders strong and rooted. So from here we go to active hang. Active hang is a couple ways I'll show you active hang. Number one, you can think about just pulling your shoulder blades down and back. That's your active hang. And then you also have the option of what I like to kind of think about is screwing my shoulders in. So I better drive my elbows forward. I'm going to screw screw in my, it's kind of like we teach on everything else. If we're doing bench press or something, talk about break the bar as you're doing the press. If you're talking about overhead press, there should be external rotation. External rotation is stability for the shoulders. You don't want to be doing pushes from out here. Do your pushes in here, right? Same thing when we're hanging, we can kind of pack the shoulders down and back that way. So that's one way to do it. When I'm in the active hang, things I can start doing for my strength in the active hang, get used to the active hang, and then start putting in like exploration movements, things where you're starting to just kind of play with how your hips move. You can start to play with like your leg movements. So I'll show you kind of just like a freestyle. But the goal is I'm spending time in a hang in a great shoulder position. I'm gonna have more strength when I'm packed than when I'm not. So if I can pack that, I'm actually using my rotator cuff to support my shoulder. So once I'm hanging, I go to my active hang. I might do things with just my pelvis, showing certain degrees of control. Because really, your climbing stuff it's about control. And note that my shoulder started unlocked there. I gotta keep that active. So you can start doing some of these ab exercises. Hold, single leg hold. I don't know, really it's whatever can feel good for you. It's just something where you're getting hang time while you are getting that core work. Let's go back to the ground for a second. So I'm talking about active hangs up here and doing ab movements or just exploring what that active hang feels like. On the ground, we go back to the ground, we can talk about hand balancing exercises. In hand balancing exercises, the tension required to hold a hand balance exercise is the same tension that's required to keep yourself suspended when you're climbing or something like that. So if you think about, most people talk about what you need to do a handstand, everybody's like, oh, it's core, you have to have core. Your climbing is the exact same way. You're only gonna climb as long as you can maintain tension in the things you're climbing, and the tension, it starts here and here. So if I'm holding myself up, that's tension. The minute I don't have that gut feeling of tension anymore, I'm not gonna be able to hang on. So practicing different hand balance exercises is another way to feel that tension. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with like a crow. This is a really easy one to start with. I'm not gonna go into the gambit of a hand balancing today. I'll let Cody do that for you guys, but I'll just show you like the crow. So the crow, I'm gonna take that big hand spread again. I'm gonna drive my elbow pits forward. I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of set my legs on my arms here and start to remove my feet one at a time. And this is kind of a cool exercise just to work on the beginning of hand balancing. And then if you want to start playing with the tension again, playing with the tension in different ways. It's all this stuff, right? So if you can do some of this hand balancing stuff, even just starting there, that will show you similar tension for climbing. Okay, goodness. Woo. So we talked about some corrective exercises to start taking care of your shoulders. We talked about passive hangs for shoulder health, and then we talked about active hangs for shoulder strength. What else? I was gonna cover anything else? Let's talk about a couple other exercises you can do. I'll just fire these off and I'll let you guys go. First one's gonna be maybe traversing the bar. So once we've gotten all these basics, then we can start using them. So now I can start climbing side to side on the bar. If you've got pull-ups, you could add a pull-up to the traversing or something around those lines, so we're working on our upper body strength. If you don't have pull-ups, that doesn't mean you're not qualified to climb the multi-rig, the monkey bars, any of that kind of stuff. But it would definitely help you. So if you're not there yet in your pull-up game, that's okay. But make that kind of like an ongoing quest or journey. If you could get stronger every day in your pull-ups, that'll help you so much with the climbing stuff. I think that's a lot of stuff to cover to start with today. So we got corrective exercises and prehab movements. We had passive hangs for health. We had active hangs for strength. We talked about doing different things in active strength because we want to find our core and our tension. It's a similar tension to what we would find in hand balancing exercises. And if you can pack all that together, you got a rope right behind you. Just looking out, dude. If you can pack all that together, I think you guys can start working on some things that will help you be better climbers in the long run. And then over the course of the next week or so, I'll put out a couple more videos on what happens if my shoulders actually hurt and this stuff is bad for me. And I've got some other solutions for you there. And I'll also go through more specifics on obstacles between now and Big Bear. So I hope it helps. Make it a great week, guys. Thank you.